first annual Developer Week. My name is John Paskey, one of the founders here, together with Jeff Ranke, the CEO of Data 2.0, the company that produces Developer Week. We welcome you to the first annual. We're going to get started this morning, without further ado, with a spotlight presentation from Cull and IO. So after that, we also have a spotlight presentation from PhotoShare, and then we'll move straight into our keynote address from Steve Newcomb from Famous. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Tim Cull from Cull and IO. Tim.
Hi, my name is Tim Cull. I run a development shop that specializes in developing against APIs. Later on today, we're giving a workshop on developing API-heavy Ruby on Rails apps. But right now, what I'm going to tell you about is the kinds of things that having an API can do for your application. So the most obvious use of an API is to integrate X with Y. And this right here is an integration story, but it's also a marketing story. If not for its integration with Results CRM, Mr. Easley here would have never found SmartVault. So in that way, having an API is a marketing tool. It's a marketing tool in a number of ways. Aside from integrations, which we just talked about, it also helps you tick boxes on big sales or cater to specific users. And it motivates developers like us to create sexy mashups at press-saturated events like hackathons. And as developers, why do we care about marketing? Well, we care about marketing because a well-marketed company is a successful company, and successful companies have interesting problems to solve. So do you think that working at Twitter would be the least bit interesting in an engineering sense if they only had 300 users? No, it would not. So successful marketing helps it get there. It's the difference between a ho-hum 10 tweets per second and a spine-tingling 10,000 tweets per second seen during the Super Bowl. So let me tell you for a minute what I mean by ticking boxes. Users will refuse to use your software for any number of tiny reasons. Getting around these tiny reasons is called removing objections in marketing speak. If you have an API, you can create one-off features just for these users to remove those objections without clouding the core code base of your product. At Cull and IO, we call these objection-removing features bespoke features. In a way, having an API lets you have your cake and eat it too. So, does anybody remember Lotus Notes? Well, lots of companies are stuck with Lotus Notes, and if you want to sell your software to them, you have to address that somehow. But I don't want to learn about Lotus Notes, and I doubt any of you do either. So if you have an API, you can let add-on providers satisfy your legacy customers for you without ever having to pick up the integration manual for Lotus Notes. Let me talk for a minute about what I mean by verticals. Shopify is a general-purpose e-commerce platform. It's meant for doing things like selling beach towels or the fashion lines of rap stars. And it's definitely not meant to be an all-purpose event management and ticket sales platform. But that's a vertical that Plug My Event opened for Shopify via its API. Let me tell you for a second what I mean by sexy mashups. Within hours of Hurricane Sandy, a couple of guys put up a website that lets you see all the photos on Instagram that have to do with Hurricane Sandy. This site was covered in national news. And how many people do you think found Instagram for the first time because of that coverage? And yes, there are people who have not heard of Instagram still. And as a bonus, let me tell you what I meant by the enterprise. Enterprises, as you know, have all kinds of crazy custom software in the back end. If you can't integrate with their software, or if the enterprise feels like it can't customize your software, then they're not going to buy it. So in that way, having an API is an on-ramp to the enterprise. At Pollen, we integrate, extend, and create cloud-based applications, especially API-heavy ones. If you'd like to know more, I'm a friendly guy, so please don't hesitate to get in touch. Okay, thank you.